Hey, welcome to Build on Chain, powered by Eco, where we invite builders to come and talk about the projects that they're working on. Today we have Dave Isbitski from Chainlink. Dave, what brings you in today? What are you working on?
Hello. Thanks for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to come on. When you all reached out, I was excited. It's crazy because I've been podcasting for 13 years. I've had my own podcasts. I created and hosted Alexa developer podcast and Amazon Web Services developer podcast when I was over there. And this is a joy for me. Like, I love doing this. You want to have me here every week, I'll just show up and we can talk about cool stuff. You know, it's like, that's how I, yeah. And I just, ever since I was a little kid, like I get excited about stuff and I got to tell people about it. And if anybody ever wants a role in DevRel and you're thinking about that as a career path, I've been doing DevRel for almost 20 years. And I did it at Big Tech. And Chainlink Labs reached out to me, a little over a year ago, probably like a year and a half, and was like, hey, this space is really growing. We need people coming from a Web 2 background that have been through those things. And I've seen, anything you want to talk about. I have stories. I was employee one for Alexa. So like I saw that grow. I've seen, I helped launch Azure at Microsoft. I was on the Xbox team. So I worked with indie devs. And what does that scene look like? And I've just made a career out of like getting excited about technology and then making sure I don't want anybody. Like it used to piss me off when people would be like, and I would get upset with my kids when they would say this. They'd be like, I'm just too stupid to figure this out. And I'm like, no way. Like all this stuff is awesome. And I want everybody to be excited as I am. Right. And so that's the career I've made. And so my role at Chainlink Labs is that of how do we create this future as we expand. Web3 is a very, very tiny compared to the space that you'll have, for example, cloud developers and web developers, right? And we are just, it's growing exponentially, And so that's my journey, helping out there. You'll see me a lot. I do YouTube videos. I'll share some stuff in here. Lately, I grew up in Jersey, and I've lived outside the Philadelphia area for a while now. So New York City is pretty easy for me. I've been going into New York City a lot and actually talking. I can't name all the names, but a lot of names that you would know in New York City in traditional finance and talking about things like stablecoins and tokenization and real world assets, proof of reserves, all that, like just goodness, and I've been doing a lot of that lately. And then stuff like this. So I know that was a lot, but that's basically who I am and in the whirlwind and what I do.
I love it. Excited to jump into this. I hear you have like a cool demo for us.
Yeah. So when you said, hey, we have coding demos, I like that too, because I feel like it used to bother me as a developer when you would go to something and you'd be like, well, what's real? What's real, right? Like, show me, like, I actually want to build something. What's real now? And so I put together some slides. We can share it with the audience too. bit.ly build on chain is the link. And I'll walk you through, and we'll actually try and build something right now. Right, it'll be on testnets, so you never know with testnets. But I'll use some blockchains that I've used before that are pretty fast, and I think will be good. So let me jump over. And this is just my background. We talked about. I think we covered all of this. I've been in DevRel a while. I've had a 30-year career in tech. I was on the financial services industry team at Microsoft. DPE is what it was called there, Developer Platform Evangelism. I've made a career out of new waves coming in, disruptive waves, and helping people ramp up. I'm a natural educator, sharer, and that's kind of what my career's been. Everything changed for me. I don't know about you. Everything changed for me the first time I used Bitcoin. So it was that first transaction in 2018. Somebody at work had sent me a Coinbase referral code, and I just fell in love. Like the whole premise of it. And back then, the YouTube videos were like just trying to find what is blockchain, right? You'd be lucky if you found the Byzantine generals problem, right? And consensus mechanisms, and just like trying to figure all that out and get my head around it. Super, super different now. And just I really went down the rabbit hole, became a complete Bitcoin maxi, which for the most part, I still, I guess technically I'm not, because I do love all blockchains, but just the idea of how that can democratize truth right? And so when I joined Chainlink, that's, if you've ever heard Sergey, our founder, talk, it's, it's no longer having paper promises. For you and me to interact as a human being, we have to have trust. And the trust has just gone out the window in 2025, right? And smart contracts give you back trust. And so this is going to kind of show all of that as we go through. So hopefully as a developer, I'm going to do it in Solidity. This also works on Solana. You'll see videos out there where I've done things with the SVM versus the EVM. So you'll have all of that. And if you want to hit me up, that's my link tree. All right, so here's the opportunity. We talked a little bit about this in the beginning. So Web3 is up there at top. DeFi, tokenized, RWAs, things like that, right? You might have seen this chart, Sergey share something like this before. But I have heard, and I don't know about you all, and it feels like it's been accelerated this year, right? We've got the Genius Act. We've got other things around stablecoins. It feels like this is a reality now, that there's hundreds of trillions of dollars out there in the derivatives market, real estate, stocks, right? We've got stocks on Solana now, Camino, like all of that is just real. And there couldn't be a better time. And so when I started last year, I kind of looked at Chainlink Labs as AWS. You see the swim lanes here? So we've got compute, data, cross-chain. So if you're a developer and maybe you've used data feeds before, maybe you've run some functions, which is basically like AWS Lambda. This is what it looked like last year when I started. And all of this sat upon an Oracle network, right? With CCIP, so the cross-chain interoperability protocol, up top. Because I am a believer, and Chainlink is a believer, that there are going to be there are thousands of blockchains out there. There are blockchains that are public blockchains, and there are blockchains that sit behind a firewall in a lot of these large enterprises. And so today, this is kind of what Chainlink looks like. And sorry for going from like totally dark slide to white. It's like blasting, right?
Keep me on my toes. I like it.
Yeah. So think of it in this, and this is how my head, because as a developer, you're like, okay, this is pretty cool. I like what Dave's saying. I'm trying to figure out, like, I need the why. Like, the why, Dave. Like, what's going on right now? And I've seen this wave in my career, right? It always starts out very scrappy. It starts out small, but it revolutionized something. And that's what Web3 did. And we spent a lot of time on the infrastructure of it and iterating, right? We have all these different chains and all these different ways to have better TPS, just like I watched that in the hardware space with megahertz, right? And processing. And as there was more megahertz and more RAM, I had better servers that I could run ASP on or have an ISAPI filter for early e-commerce sites. Like it grew like that. And eventually all that stuff just sits up in a cloud nowadays. And so as this expands, and now that we have regulatory approval in the US, you've seen a lot of that, right? Where for sometimes it wasn't a technical problem. Some of it we needed to make sure that we had regulations, especially when it comes to traditional finance. All that's hitting right now at once. Mm-hmm. And so the way to think about Chainlink, it's not, what it was in the Web3 space 8 years ago, where it was a data feed, although that still exists. And I think on Ethereum, we're somewhere over 80%. Is all run by Chainlink, and I think across all chains it's something over 65% like that. But that is what we call the data standard. And then as time moved along, we had the interoperability standard, and that's what I'm going to show a little bit of today. Is how do we talk across all these chains? How do we move value across chains? How do we move value between both chains that exist in DeFi, but also systems in traditional finance? So you may have heard things like where we've been working with Swift, and where we transferred value with Ondo Finance and JP Morgan, where it was actually a treasury bill that went across and then went on chain. So all of that, you need a standard around interoperability. And this is the way this stuff works, right? Like I remember sitting in meetings for SMS. Like we need a standard way to send messages across mobile carriers, right? Like a standard was made. I remember XML standards and SOAP. And like even TCIP, like we're going to use TCP or UDP, right? And all of these standards, once they're built, just unlocks innovation. And that's what is happening here. So we have this interoperability standard for talking between chains. We have a compliance standard, things like KYC, making sure the Genius Act requires proof of reserves. It has all of the stablecoins that are going to be compliant have to actually be audited, right? And how does that look? How does privacy look? How do I have the ability to do private transactions? or using ZK proofs. So when information goes across, it's not publicly visible what's actually inside of the messages, right? Things like that. And there's many more standards we're going to see to come, and you'll have all those blockchains on the side. We also bring all this together in our workflow, which is called, you may have heard, the CRE, or the Chainlink runtime environment. So this is kind of like, I was there in those early cloud days and early AWS days. It's like, this is what I saw happen, is as you worked with customers, and for Chainlink, it's been traditional finance, they need all this stuff. And this is what it looks like. And so if you're coming from that Web3 background, all this gets done for you. And it looks like, another EVM library, right? It's just super easy to get up and ramp, and it's stuff that you would expect. So token transfers, it's ERC20. It's not a Chainlink like vendor lock-in thing. It's this open standard. If you create an ERC20 token and you incorporate owner, like Circle with I did a talk with them too, right? Like they have owner as in part of their ERC20 token, that which works like a CCT. So all the stuff that you're familiar with will just work, but you can do programmable, my mouth's not working today, programmable token transfers, right? So think of this as like once we tokenize real estate and all of us can own a piece of, maybe it's commercial real estate in New York, and we are all going to get our lease payments divided up across those tokens at the end of the month. I can have all that happen automatically, no matter what chain you're on, and it'll just program it automatically do it, right? So all the stuff that you'd expect as a developer. And nothing too scary. This is the, teaching developers all of these different services over the past year. This is the one where folks get tripped up on like, how does it actually work, right? And so just think of it this way. Source blockchain on the left, maybe that is Avalanche, and the destination blockchain, maybe that's Arbitrum on the right, or it could be Base, it could be whatever you need. These are just smart contracts that sit up there, right? And those smart contracts get called by CCIP. And on CCP, you can send data with a message and your tokens. And that gets routed securely in between. There's a bunch more to that where there's a risk management network and it's looking for different things. You may have heard of other stuff that we've been doing, like with MEV, right? And smart value recapture and all of those things that Aave is using that happen in the real world when you move cross-chain. But it does all this automatically as a developer. So when you hear CCIP, you're like, okay, Chainlinks is going to move value for me across chains. So for example, when we launched on the Solana, that opened up, $1.4 billion worth of value for Solana developers. All of that can flow back and forth. They can have Pepe flow into Solana, right? And vice versa. So now all of that value on Solana can go ahead and flow into EVM-based chains. You're going to see more and more of that. So it looks, you see, I don't know how hard or good that is to see on the actual video, but you'll see I have a blue lane and a black lane. So that's what I want you to remember is there's a lane. And when you use this as a developer, you're going to be like, oh, there's lanes and routers and all this kind of stuff, right? It's just each way is a lane. So if I'm on blockchain A and I want to send to blockchain C, that'll be a specific lane. If I'm going from C to A, that'll be a specific lane. And I'll show you what this looks like, so it's not so scary. And then if you want to take a token that runs across hundreds of different blockchains and has all of this using CCIP, that's where you'll hear CCT, right? And the motivation for this, it's self-service, folks. Like, we're going to go up, it's testnet, but you don't have to talk to anyone. I mess around. You got to have fun, right? So I can make like a token. I have made tokens of my friends. Imagine if we had this during the last cycle with NFTs and everything, right? I've made tokens, and they're out there on testnet, right? And you could do it in like 5 minutes. Not that I'm encouraging you all to go out and bust on your friends making a token like that right now. But that's how seamless it is in the UI, and you're going to see that in a little bit, right? It's using our Oracle network, right, which we've enabled over 16 trillion in TVE. So it's using that risk management network. It's doing things securely, all the stuff that you'd expect from Chainlink. And you don't need a liquidity pool, right? So it'll actually create these inside the contracts, and you'll see all of that too. So just that, I mean, this is kind of stuff I love as a developer. It's doing this all on my behalf, right? Okay, so just to go back to that slide we had before, we're just going to open it up just a tiny little bit and throw in some of the stuff that Dave said. Don't worry, still same source blockchain, right? So Avalanche over here, and and this could be Arbitrum, it could be Base, it could be whatever. We still have our smart contract, right? But now you can see here we're using a token, and there's different kinds of token pools, right? Burn and mint, lock and mint. You can see all of this, right? And it's just sending cross chain, but now you can see two-phase commit. If you're a security person, you're like, yeah, of course it's two-phase commit, right? So we're going to commit and execute. And then we have this risk management network. So all of that is happening for you under the scenes. Okay, that's a big mouthful, but this is a lot to kind of give you the background behind. And then I threw a bunch of slides and links in here for people to go check out. All right, so this is, if you want to see all the developer docs you see at the top, the stuff at the bottom, if you can't get enough Dave and you want to punish yourself, I highly suggest you go through at 2x, but that's me going through with Foundry. I think I did one in Hard Hat, Remix, to your heart's content. Some of those videos are like 45 minutes long. We go in the weeds and we build stuff. We'll build it in VS Code and do all sorts of things. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, so that's about it for the slides. And now we'll go have some fun. Here is it's up on my GitHub. This is my Chainlink GitHub one. So if you hit D Isbitski, that's my private one. Go to D Isbitski-CLL, all right? And you can grab this piece of code.
And we'll get all the links in the description, everyone, for who's following along.
Yeah, because I don't know about you all. Like, even when I'm watching a YouTube video later on, I like to build whatever they're building. So, like, I'll pause it and I'll have the person. Yeah, like I'll have and even if it's like more of a copy paste, there's just something empowering when you get stuff running and just going step by step. And it feels like, it's that togetherness.
It feels like real. You got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always love sharing. That's why I'm sharing all this stuff. Or you can ignore it all and just go to the docs. So when I was talking about CCIP, right, we've got those lanes and we've got the different blockchains over here. So you can see there's 59 blockchains over here and there's different tokens over here, right? So this is all live. You can check this out whenever you want. Let me pick a coin. Let's see if we have, here we have, since I mentioned USDC, right? So this is what it would look like, right? And you can see the token pool type, the token pool address. I can go see this token on each one. So if, I hit this, I'm going to go up to ArbScan, all the stuff that you would expect here. We can interact with the contract. I'll see everything that I'm used to as a blockchain developer. So you should feel free to go up here and look around. This is what we're going to build. So inside this CCIP directory, we're going to have a token. We're going to have a CCT token, okay? And we're going to put that, obviously, we're going to be on testnet and not mainnet, right? And when you're poking around here, you'll see stuff like this. CCIP, that's burn and mint, and CCIP lock and mint. So if you want some kind of burnable tokens just to play around with, that also exists across all the different chains on testnet, just another way for you to play around with stuff. Okay, so let's go and grab this code. And I'm going to use Remix. You could use whatever you like. I just created a little workspace here before we start recording called Build Onchain. And we'll go create a file here.
Let me ask a super quick question before you jump into this. So one thing that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. So like this token pool construct, what does this like represent? This is like this is, I guess, where the burn and mint, where the pools like get pulled from when you bridge, or what?
Yeah, so we're going to create the pools. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to assign the pools as the administrators for the actual tokens. You have a couple of different ways that you can do that. So like a burn and mint, and I have a video out there that walks you through like explaining each one. You're going to set that up on the chain that you want, and it'll have the ability to basically lock everything on an existing chain. It's kind of like how you can wrap ETH and put it onto the destination chain. It'll do that on your behalf. Or you can go ahead and you can like burn everything on the original chain. But all of that, that's where the complexity sits. All of that is going to be in our CCIP, CCT, SDK that you'll see up on our GitHub. And we create something in that we call a burnable token, burn and mint token. And in that are all these interfaces. So it actually uses like the ERC20 burnable token, the interface, right? The access control interface, all of that kind of stuff that you would expect is in there. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah. More or less. Yeah. Is it like it functions like a bridge-ish? That's the thing I'm not quite getting.
No, so I think with Bridge, so I guess the difference, like the pools are just so you can mint the tokens, and you can decide how much of the token can be minted. You can also decide how much of that token can be transferred cross-chain. The process of actually moving value and tokens across chain uses CCIP, so that is happening on the Chainlink Oracle network. And then that is going to build up consensus. And then as I transfer value, that's also going to use that RMN, or that risk management network.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So let's call this one build on chain. Right. And you let me know if this is big enough here. I'll try and, I always make this super huge for folks to say. Can you see good?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So what I've done here, if you've ever coded in Solidity, I love Solidity. It's very easy to teach people in this. It's very easy to teach them in a remix tool like this. So there's certain things I'm going to assume you've been in Solidity before. You're familiar with an IDE and you have an EOA set up. So up here, I'm using MetaMask, and you can see I created a wallet I just called Build on Chain, right? And I've got a little AVAX in here. So those are just kind of the things. If you're watching this later, be like, oh, I got to go set that up. Okay. You can see here, this is part of that SDK I just talked about. So in CCIP, we've included the Open Zeppelin contracts. If anybody hasn't used Open Zeppelin before, it's a great way. You can go in, have a wizard to create different kinds of tokens. So I've just created an ERC20 token here. Okay. Then what I've done is I've set up a minter and burner role, because we're going to have the pool. Remember, the pool is going to be able to burn and mint tokens on our behalf. And then I have setters and getters for CCP admin. So like to your question before, like how is this happening? It's CCIP that's going to come in as an administrator and call all of these different things and actually move all the value. So look at that infinite gas. That's always scary when you see that stuff, right? So let's name the, and this is just standard stuff. So this is how you construct an ERC20 token. Let's call this one build on chain. Okay, and then what should we have our, you always got to be careful with acronyms, right? BOC. BOC's not a bad word, right? Yeah. And then you can see here, I've just got some internal functions where I'm going to grant all these roles. And you'll see in a little bit, this function basically I wrote here is that our tool will do everything for you when you're bringing an existing thing on, except grant these roles. So what I did to make it a lot easier for you, and feel free to steal this code, is you can just call this function once we've deployed this on chain, and then we'll have the ability to go ahead and just complete through the wizard process. And it's a lot more fun that way. So I'll show you how to do that too. So then we have our mint, our burn from. This is all standard stuff. You can see we're passing in the roles here, and then our setters and getters. So for CCIP and admin. Okay. So what I've done here, standard ERC20 token. I've added a couple of little functions that are going to grant the CCIP admin burn and mint access. And I'm in the interface here for access control, right? You can have owner. I'm actually using access control, so we can have an admin. Okay? Make sense? Okay, cool. Now you can see over here, I've got it set to auto compile. Just make sure you're on A24. You know, most of the L2s, everything is A24. We've got the cool Solidity green checkbox here, so we know that we're doing good. We're going to say MetaMask here, and let's just make sure I am 7243D. Everybody see here, I am on Avalanche, on Fuji, and 72342. So we're all good here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and deploy this one. Only a cent, love it. That's the kind of gas I can pay. All right, so we're going to do that now, and we'll just make sure. We're going to do a quick call here. Okay. You can see right here, right now, if you're new to this, by the way, it's nothing scary. You know, anything with an orange is going to cost me gas. Anything with blue, I'm just reading from the blockchain. I don't need to mine a block or do anything like that. It's free. So you can come down here. You can see build on chain and symbol. We're just calling from this contract address out there. Okay. So now we've got a token that sits out there. Now comes the cool part, is we can have fun with a wizard. And who doesn't like wizards, right? So we'll come up here in a token manager. Now, this is exactly what I showed you before under CCIP. Do you like this flyout stuff? We've been doing a lot of this with the UI now. I like this. It just flies in and out, and you sit. Yeah, isn't that cool? Like I say, team, when I was in just a little story. I love telling little stories. So I'm in New York City office, and I'm speaking to the traditional finance customers, and I'm showing this UI, and I'm giving like kudos, like how I like it. And I've been demoing forever, and I always appreciate a way for people to follow. And someone cocomes out the audience and is like, "Hey, I work at Chainlink, and I wrote that." I was like, "Oh wow, like thank you, like it's so nice." Like somebody was actually like, I was giving kudos, and the actual creator was there, so that was really cool. So you can see here, I've just attached my wallet, and these are all the different chains that CCIP supports, and there are non-EVM chains in there. So Solana, I would, well, I guess I could do MetaMask now too, but I have all my Solana in Phantom, and we're going to say add new token. Okay. Now you could play around right now and deploy a new token, and you can create a token from scratch without a single line of code, which is where this is all heading, right? Between AI, have you used Claude Code or any of those tools yet? Yeah, like it's
terrifying.
Like,
it's so good. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I love that because I'm always having ideas, and it's like when you've been doing this as long as I have, it's like you get tripped up in all the different languages. Is this TypeScript? Is this JavaScript? Like just the ability to do that stuff. But you can also create your own, like we did. So we're going to be a real developer today. We're going to add our existing token. All right, and we made that on Fuji. All right, so let's go up here. And if you're saying, Dave, where did you get that thing from? EB1, because sometimes I do stuff fast. It's right here. Everybody see this? This is where we deployed that token, okay? So we'll go right back up here, and you can see green checkboxes I love. This tool does a lot of green checkboxes. So what it's doing here is it's saying it found the token name on the blockchain on Fuji. It's Fuji's testnet, or Fuji is testnet for Avalanche. And it's finding that I do have those setters and getters, and I've incorporated admin. A lot of times you won't see this. Like when you messed it up, you didn't incorporate those functions. I'll have devs being like, what happened? Like that's basically the piece of code that you're missing. So just steal my stuff from the gist and you'll be good. Okay, so token address is here, right? And you can see it gives you a nice little link. So if I click on it, I'm gonna go right up here into Snowtrace, which is the blockchain explorer for Avalanche. And you can see all the goodness. We can come in here into the contract. We can run the same things. Let's read the contract. Everybody see build on chain. So this stuff's live. It's not sitting on Dave's. This is what I love about blockchain. When I show this to people, I'm like, this is all just my computer's an interface for a blockchain that lives out there, So all that's live. So we're going to go ahead and say burn and mint. And these are the different pools. So remember I talked about lock, release, burn, mint, all that. We're just going to do a straight burn and mint, which is the recommended. And now we want to add an additional chain. And this is the stuff that blows my mind because this grows every day. So as a developer, notice here, I didn't do anything. Like I did a talk with Sonium on their Discord. And I was like, I just have to click the button and it's on your blockchain. I did one with Ronan on gaming, right? So it's like you and me, we're gaming and we earn something on Ronan's blockchain and I want to transfer value because I want to sell it on Polygon or something, right? Maybe it's up on Polymarket, right? I could do that now. So this is the world that gets me excited. This is why I joined Chainlink is all of this stuff. And then you can see here, we're going to use the same address up on Sepolia. We're going to call it the same exact stuff. And then that was
the owner address, right? That it put in there? It just pulled the same one?
Yeah. That is me right here. So
got it.
Your EOA, I always go back and forth, like, because EOA seems so technical. My MetaMask wallet here, right, is like, it's basically your EOA is the address of the admin. And then it's also, we're going to grant access to the pool. Yep, so great question. So what we're going to do is we're going to deploy a pool. We're going to grant burn and mint permissions. We're going to register as an admin and accept it. Remember that two-phase commit. Set the token pool and accept, and then we'll do it on Arbitrum Sepolia. We'll do all this live. All right, so the first thing we'll do is we'll deploy a pool, and it's going to do that on our behalf, but we're going to have a little bit of gas. So this is happening up on Fuji testnet right now. Green checkbox, boom. All right, so now we're going to register our token up there. Now the difference is, like, remember this token existed and we looked at it on Fuji? This is going to be a CCT-based token that's going to exist as well. So it'll be a brand new address.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll get questions on that of like, I've already created my token. Like, what's happening here? Well, we're creating a CCT version.
Okay. So at the end of this, there will be like two of this token on Avalanche. The one that we created initially, and then a CCT of it. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And then, so right here, This is that step I told you. And people get here and then they give up. So that's why I wrote that little function. So see, grant burn and mint privileges to your newly deployed token pool. So go right back over in Remix. And what are we going to do here, right? We're going to do, let's make sure it's the right one. Right? Is that my second one? Yeah, because I had one before. Okay, so.
And this is what keeps the token as like owned by the user, right?
This is what allows CCIP to go ahead and burn and mint this token from the pool that this tool set up.
For sure, yeah. Okay.
Yep. So we're going to transact, set that up. And that's going to cost us $0.01. Okay, green checkbox, we're good. So this is like trust. Eventually this will change, but right now you say, yes, I did it. Okay. Then we're going to register it. Okay, confirm. And then we're going to accept. Okay, so now we're done, right? So now we're going to switch over, and just to make sure, right, here you go, Arbitrum Sepolia. So you can see I've switched over to Sepolia on Arbitrum. I've got a little bit of ETH sitting there, so I'm going to go ahead and deploy this. $2.58 over here on this blockchain. So it's now taking that same token. So it's deployed that token, and it's deployed a pool, so there'll be two addresses. I'm accepting the admin role and ownership. Now think about what's going on and what we just did here. Give yourself a big congratulations, right? Like we've literally just created a token that can now be transferred onto any of the hundreds of different blockchains that CCPI sits on. And it's going to continue to expand. It didn't cost me anything other than minting that token out there. And now I have the ability where I can send this stuff securely and everything else that happens through CCIP. So you can see here is my burn and mint tokens, right? Here's the address. So if we want to go look at this one, you can see right here, all the different functions. We granted the mint, burn and mint here. You can see the contracts, right? Balance of, have we minted any? No. Okay. Oh wait. Total supply. How many do I do? Okay, so 0. So all of that stuff exists. We haven't minted anything. We've just set it up, the pools and everything. Same thing over here. This is, remember that UI I was talking about? This one, it should pop up from the side. There we go. Boom. You can see it's connected. Remember I said lanes? So this is where that stuff comes in. Inbound, outbound lanes. So I have inbound and outbound lanes that have been built for me on Fuji. So this stuff can move back and forth through Fuji. I did not limit rate or refill. So you can do that if you're worried about stuff going too much getting
nice.
Locked and burned. You could do all that stuff here. You can see this stuff exists, and it's all there. So it's like actually, if we want to see it, right? What is it? We're on this one. You see these nice little copy symbols we got here. So let's add. Yeah, I'm on Arbitrum here. Let's go ahead and add. And you can see my token. So we are the build on chain right here. Yeah. So that is.
So if you were to we have mint and burn privileges, or rather, you're the owner on the original on Avalanche. So you could just for example, you could mint something right now on Avalanche, and then you could bridge it simply using CCIP to Arbitrum, and then it would pop up in your MetaMask wallet. You can see it right there, right?
Yeah. And it's not even bridging is a whole different, it's almost a different terminology, right? It's sending that token cross-chain using CCIP standard.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry, I'm fully in the past here. I'm just using the word bridge all over the place.
I know, but some are I don't know about you all, especially last bull runs, when I was trying to, hold on, let me, so I don't get distracted here. Let me stop sharing that one so I can come back up here. I don't know about you, when I was trying to buy NFTs real fast, and I'm in these different swaps, and gas is going crazy, and coins are lost. CCIP gets rid of all that, Mm-hmm. And so it's moving value cross chain. But here's the thing with CCIP, and this is what's got me excited. It's not just on chain stuff. So what I was talking about, JP Morgan, you're moving treasury bills on chain, right? Like CCIP. So as a developer, you don't have to do anything. As CCIP expands, and it's just connected to all these different systems, when it just becomes what it already is, a standard that everybody's using, right? Now I can send value. I don't have to think about it. And I don't care what blockchain you're on. Your stuff you want to pay me over there in USDC, it just floats over here, right? All that great stuff. So yeah, exciting.
Awesome.
Pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, super exciting. Yeah, and it seems like you guys are like very particularly well positioned for this as somebody, or as like, you know, a team that has like Oracle products and also now this interoperability stuff. It's like nobody. I don't know of other teams that have that really nice synergy that allow you to bring, like, you know, the idea of like things being multi-chain, but then just like chain and off-chain, bringing all of that together. It's really cool.
Yeah. Gosh, this is what it was like when I joined Microsoft early and I joined Amazon early. Is you felt like you had a secret and people were going to find out. I was like, doesn't everybody figure out how big this is? How big this company is? Like, don't they see what I see? And I definitely felt like that a year ago. So I was checking all of my network with people like, have you heard of? And they're like, yeah, we've heard of Chainlink. Like, they have this folk there, and they have like the guy that runs DevRel created the blockchain service at AWS, Sharat, right? So I get to work with him. And you got people, researchers like Ari, like who basically wrote a white paper on using the Oracle networks to build consensus for generative AI hallucinations, which is a perfect way to get deterministic data versus non-deterministic data, right? That you have. That's what Oracle networks are built for. So it's that, and then it's the relationship that the side of the house that's all traditional finance people who have those relationships in banking and capital markets. And this is just like, you know, where Sergey spends a lot of his time is there in Washington, D.C., making sure people understand, well, you know, what needs to be regulated and how we move the industry forward. So all that stuff is happening. And it's like, when all the pieces come together, suddenly it looks like overnight. Like I talk to everyone now, those stablecoins are exploding. This stuff happened overnight. And it's like, no, this has been going on for 7 years. But it just so happens we're at that point. And that's the way it was when I was in cloud. It's the way it was when I was in mobile. Like I remember working with iOS developers, and it went from like all of us being scrappy with like Brew. There was a Indie Hall, is this place in Philly, like Independence Hall, but it's all just coders. So we would hang out trying to figure out Xcode and actually building iOS apps. To one of the guys that would like come to the meeting wasn't around anymore. And I was like, what happened? He wrote white noise and had millions. You know, it's like because of that opportunity went from like, and I still use it to this day because like when I'm in a hotel room, I need that background noise, you know? Like that's the opportunity right now. Like if you're in this Web3 space, it's like, you know, all the stuff, it's fun. And I still have fun. I'll still play around with meme coins and anything, but it's always been the tech. And once people figured out the tech and what it can do, both in traditional finance, but now you have like people talking like regular politicians talking about tokenizing everything. You know, the big bankers talking about tokenizing. I always have the mother-in-law test. We just saw them last weekend for barbecue. And I've tried explaining, like when I joined Chainlink, so why are you leaving Amazon? What are you doing? And I'm like, well, you know, you could think of it like a startup in finance, and we're helping them learn blockchain, nothing computed. She heard of stablecoins.
The level of the explanation changes so much over time.
Yes. So now this is how I know it's in the mainstream now. She's like, you work on stablecoin stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I work on stablecoin stuff with banks. And she was like, oh, that's great. So that's like, but I'm like, stablecoins is just renamed blockchain. You know, it's like,
but it's like people are talking about it now, and that's so insane.
It's so
like
exciting.
I think it was like when I was at ETH Denver last time. There was a sticker that they gave out to everybody that says, "My mom thinks I work at Bitcoin," and you know that was very funny to all the people at ETH Denver. You know, but it's like now, my mom like knows I don't work on, like she knows nobody works at Bitcoin. There's like more stuff that people know now. It's like, it's not that there's, you know, 3 terms that people are familiar with. This is like something that people are talking about. It's like, it's real things that are happening, which is amazing. Yeah.
And I've always found you need companies and leaders who have that vision of what this can be, have the ability to help bring everyone else along, and then just build and not worry about, you know, I got to, you know, when I was at Amazon, I got to work with Jeff. Like we worked on the Fire Phone launch and Fire TV and Alexa, and like just see how he thinks. Yeah. Well, only like 2 meetings and stuff, you know, it wasn't like we were hanging out. But the thing he always used to say is, no problem with being misunderstood for long periods of time. You know, you just build, and then eventually people catch up, and now they understand, oh, like crypto's not this scam. It's actually cryptography is what saved the Allies in World War II when they broke the access cryptography, right? It's like, it's mathematics. You know, we all need mathematics. We all need the ability to interact with another human being without trust. That's what smart contracts give us, you know? And so it's great to see that. And so I'm just excited to be in the space. No regrets at all. I wake up every day, and just the kind of people that I get to work with here, and all of you in the industry too. Community's always been a near and dear thing to my heart. I've made a career out of it. I'm here to lift up others. You know, I don't have to continue to work now at this point in my career if I don't want to. It's like, I'm here because the opportunity and how this is going to change the entire world is just, it's got me so excited. You know, so yeah, thank you.
It's kind of funny, like the initial, like the whole, you know, like crypto libertarian concept of this was very like, you know, if you're smart enough, there's anything that you can do. And I always thought like that idea was a little bit like isolating, you know, or not isolating, but it's like a very like every man for himself kind of like kind of feeling. And I don't like the idea of like eroding the community. I'm not saying that it does, but it's like explicitly focusing on the community, especially today when there's so much like so much potential in this space, even to grow even further. I think it's really important to like foster that community and be a part of it and spread knowledge and spread awareness to this kind of stuff. So, you know, thank you for your service.
it's you know, it's passion too. I mean, I've gotten to points in my career like that of like, why don't they get it? Why don't they? And I blame me, you know, when I was younger, I was often like, the misfit. I was the kid that was coding on the Commodore and playing Dungeons and Dragons and doing all that kind of stuff. And I wanted everyone to be as excited as me. So I basically like started educating as a way to have friends and bring people in. I got so many people to buy Commodore Amigas back in the day. I have 2 Commodore Amigas. You can't see, like off on the side here, which was just this amazing computer for the time, so that I could bring people along with me on that journey and to like feel that joy, you know. And that's one of the things that community does. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter what your background is some of the best things in, you know, I've only ever seen that, you know, before when you get into small towns and families and things like that, like it's you see the best of humanity. And there'll always be that one bad apple, you know, but then the community kind of self-regulates with that stuff too. Right. You know, and I think we're going to see more and more of that. So it's a great space to be in. And I don't want Web3 to lose its edge either. I love the fact that it's not corporate here. When I hit corporate things, I'm like, oh, I spent too much time there. Like I do have to wear collared shirts and stuff like that when I'm on Wall Street. But for the most part, it's this is Dave. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like hoodies and t-shirts. And I love that angle of disruption and libertarian too. You know, it's like that idea of personal freedom, and you know, it's like still holding your Bitcoin in cold storage that no one can take away. Your currency can collapse. You can have every physical possession in the world taken from you, and you could go across country borders with your entire wealth because you have your seed phrase memorized. Mm-hmm. I mean, what a gift to humanity that's never existed before. You know, so
it's a different level of freedom, truly.
Yeah. The thing for me where I think it'll be real for a lot of folks is the Chainlink runtime environment or Siri, right? CRE, not CRE. But that is workflow. That's orchestration. That is the thing that traditional finance has been looking at of like, you know, I have this thing that flows through all of these different systems, mainframes, everything you can imagine, some of it manual process. And now I needed to go on chain. How do I automate that in a compliant, regulatory compliant way, right? Like compliant capital has been a huge problem for this space, you know, for sure. And now to have compliant capital move to on chain, it takes care of all of that for you, you know? So, and things like, you know, we've got the data streams now for live equity feeds and all of those kind of stuff, right? That stuff is like you take for granted coming from the Web3 space in DeFi, you know, that it's good. Oh yeah, we trust these prices. It's all good. But in traditional finance, that data can be stale. Like that stuff shuts down overnight. It's not 24/7. So what happens, if a circuit breaker got tripped, or if they haven't updated their systems since the closing of the markets at 4, you've got after hours market trading, all of that kind of stuff. So those data feeds for equities check for all that. So it's like it's in some ways DeFi is learning from TradFi, and in other ways TradFi is now incorporating all of the great stuff that DeFi has learned and bringing it together. And the two are meeting. It's exciting times. So those are some of the more recent things out there that you can check out. But you'll find everything on chain.link. And if you're dev, just go dev.chain.link. Awesome.
Cool. Thanks again, Dave. This was really, really cool.
Thank you.
Everyone check out. There will be many links, many chain links. Yeah, thanks again, Dave.
Thank you. Appreciate you. This was great.